Alright everyone, hello and welcome to another Will Pop Vinyl. This is going to be the Vinyl Tag 2026, my version of it. Definitely not going to do everything on this list, it's a lot of questions. This was made by David Atkinson, and I'll link to his YouTube video below, who is another VC creator who, to be honest, I don't know. I've not been exposed to the entire universe of VC content creators out there, so I'll definitely check out his channel more. And yeah, like I said, I'm not going to do every question here. Some of them are a little cringe for me, and some of them just aren't going to really work with, I guess, the way I collect and what I listen to and stuff. So I'll do my best here. And we're going to start off by kind of combining, well, I guess number one. We'll do number one, which is, we're going to start off, okay, I am right. We're going to combine number one and two. Question one was show your best vinyl or other format musical purchase of 2025. And number two was share your favorite live musical experience of 2025. And for a second, I thought that I didn't go to a show in 2025 because I have a smaller kid and it's kind of just hard to do that type of thing right now. But I did actually go to a show way back, I think in February or late January of 2025. And I went to go see Extreme Animals, which here is the piece of media I got at the show. It's actually a VHS tape. So I would reckon a lot of people are not familiar with this group. I honestly wasn't very familiar with them prior to going to the show, but it was being hosted at a gallery art venue that I was familiar with. I was on their email list, and a friend of mine who's an artist, he was going to come up for the show from Philadelphia, and I was like, okay, perfect, let's go see him. He's always told me about this band. They don't really have anything on streaming. You might be able to find some stuff on YouTube. They do have a Discogs entry, but this is a duo, and they make kind of like it's combination of one person plays guitar, and then the other does, handles like the laptop and other various mixing equipment to do these live performances, and it's always accompanied by a video aspect. They play in front of a projector. So this is a really, really great show. I think they did most of their, what you might call their discography, because this tape, which I don't have a way to play, I haven't opened it. You can see it even has a little troll on top here. So this is called Should I Delete My Channel? And it has two performances, Fallback and Troll Update. Those are just kind of, they do these kind of like, what would you call it? I forget the name of the genre or some of the more prominent people who made these, but they find old retro stuff from the 80s and 90s or like late night local TV and kind of remix it and incorporate some of that stuff as samples. I'm going to try to splice in actually some video I captured so you can see it. The show was awesome. And yeah, they were selling this tape amongst others. This one's actually not up on Discogs. I think a lot of their stuff is not up on Discogs. They do have one LP, I just realized, and a bunch of cassettes and CDRs and some DVDs. They typically release their stuff with the video. So yeah, this was, I think, the coolest musical experience I had in 2025. And yeah, bought this with no way of currently playing it. Doesn't matter. I kind of just wanted to support the group. They don't really do these shows that often anymore. I think they both have careers outside of music, obviously. They don't live nearby anymore, is my understanding. So this is kind of a rare event for them to be convening. I should have picked up more. They had other VHSs too. I really should have picked up more. I have to find a way to get this up. But really cool. And now hopefully we'll cut to the little snippet of what I recorded. Apologies if the sound is loud in comparison to this. I know this audio is always kind of low, and this other one I captured on my iPhone, so it might be loud. So just be ready, and then we'll be back to continue. chugging along here. We're gonna skip. Oh no, we're not gonna skip this one. Number 3, easy answer. Your vinyl record collection in 10 years' time, will it be bigger, smaller, or the same? I'm fairly certain it will be bigger, since I'm still relatively new and my collection size is under 1,000 records, which feels small compared to other people. So yeah, I imagine unless something crazy happens, like catastrophe to the collection, or something financial, I can only imagine the collection will be bigger. Number 4, we're gonna skip. Number 5 is a really tough one for me to answer. Show 2 albums, one each of your favorite male and female singers. Just because I think like the way that I enjoy music doesn't often have to do with the vocals or like the quality of the singing. Like people will say that certain singers are really undeniable because of how good they are at singing. That's just not something that I really care about. I care more about performance than actual like ability to sing and hit notes and do all that stuff. So like a lot of the music I like, I like Microphones, I like Modest Mouse, I like Pavement. Like these are not male singers that you might think of as having particularly good voices, but I think that they're really distinct and I really like the way they perform. I was trying to think about female equivalents there, and a lot of the music that I have, Carole King is someone who I've collected and I really like her music, but I don't know if I like it just because of her voice, though I think she does have a pretty good one. And then this band Salt, who's kind of like a neo soul band, SAULT. I think she's a great singer, and I can't remember her name. I know she also has broken off from the band and done some solo stuff, but she's really good. But yeah, it's just kind of a hard one because I don't really think about music because the singing is so good. Yeah, number 6 we're gonna skip. Number 7 I'm gonna skip. Number 8, if you had to pick only one album from each of the last 6 decades, what would they be? So I've got my stack here, and we're gonna do a couple cheats here. From the 60s, there was a couple options, but I narrowed it down. And I kind of approached this question of like Desert Island, like you get to pick one from each decade. So I want to kind of make it a bit eclectic. So I picked my jazz. My jazz pick came from the 60s here. Bill Evans, Undercurrent. This is a 1962 US mono. It's an original, but it's like one of those weird originals that was pressed in a slightly different pressing plant, I believe. So yeah, this would be my jazz piano piece. Damn, coughing again. A close second was something else. I knew I was going to take my jazz probably from the 60s here. And, actually, no, this one doesn't count because it's from 1958, so that's why it doesn't count. From the 70s, definitely wanted to go kind of like ambient, krautrock. So I had a couple here. I'm not actually sure which I would pick, but I really, really, really like Evening Star. This is the Fripp and Eno. This is the 1975 UK pressing on the island. We play this a lot in the house. Really love this one. Kind of in that same, well, not quite the same, but yeah, cluster with So So So. This is the 76 first German pressing on Sky. Actually got this from, I think it was Lance from Permanent Records on an Instagram sale. Grabbed this from him 2 years ago and still play it. Especially the backside of this is awesome. And then last but not least, again, this is tough to pick, but yeah, Harold Budd, Pavilion of Dreams, and this is the 78 UK on Obscure. So yeah, I don't know. This is not necessarily my favorite Harold Budd, but I might just go with Evening Star out of this list because it gets a little bit of guitar in there, really textural, nice stuff. But any of those would be good. From the 80s, this is where again, getting some diversity in here. So I was trying to think of what would sound different. Perhaps Flock of Rotations would be really good from Soviet France. This is 1987, the UK, first pressing. Kind of industrial, noisy soundscape, but still very listenable to me. And that would be a bit of a different tone to it from some of the 70s ambient stuff. Or going into some more kind of more straightforward guitar, post-punky. So I've got Hex Induction Hour by the Fall. And this is from 1982. This is a UK first pressing on, what was the name of this label? Camera, spelled with a K. And I found this in Berlin 2 years ago at a cool record shop. I spent some time. I was far less into the hobby. I was just kind of picking up the mania of collecting. And so that trip was a little bit not wasted. I mean, I still had really a lot of fun, but I'm sure I missed a ton of stuff that I would have wanted to collect now. And another contender would be Pixies' Doolittle, again, just to get something that's like a little more heavy in the mix. So, yeah, I don't know. I'd probably go with one of these guitar records here. Maybe Pixies. This is one of my favorites. Moving on to the 90s. Again, an opportunity to switch it up. Lots of contenders here. I had, Pavement, Modest Mouse to pick from, but if I'm going to take Doolittle from the 80s, then not that they're the same, but it kind of covers that zone for me. Also, Chill Out from KLF could have made the list, or Heaven or Las Vegas, Cocteau Twins, but I decided to go with Dummy, which I've already talked about, but yeah, this is 1994, EU, UK pressing, and just an always listenable album to me. And get a little kind of like trip hop there. And also another female vocalist that we could have mentioned before. All right, into the 2000s. A lot of choices here, but narrowed it down to one to kind of cover my house electronic. Larry Heard, Love's Arrival. And this is, I do have a original of this, but this is actually the 2023 re-release of it, or repress, that comes with an extra record of content, so it's kind of an expanded edition. So I guess if you're thinking of this as a Desert Island question, might as well take the extra tracks. Love to throw this one on. Really, really, really good. And some other considerations there were, Jan Jelinek, who I love, The Glow Part 2, Godspeed You Black Emperor, or, if I really want some kind of mix my electronic with guitar, going for the Kid A Amnesiac era, but I just feel like Larry Heard is just such a different vibe. And then the 2010s is where we'll take hip hop. So I do have some classic hip hop collected, but it's not like something that I go back to a lot. And what I really enjoy is more modern stuff. So if I did want something that was like more boom bappy, classic, I would go with 1999, the first mixtape from Joey Badass. It was released sometimes in the early 2010s, I think, but it wasn't pressed to vinyl until later. And this is the 2018 U.S. pressing, the original pressing of it, which I just bought randomly. I saw it online. I'm not sure how I became aware of it, but kind of like a Bandcamp order. They set up a website, and I'm happy I did, because this has since become pretty collectible and has been bootlegged or repressed. But yep, this is just one that old me was lucky to get. But more likely, I would go with a jpegmafia pick. This is All My Heroes Are Cornballs from 2019, so right on the cusp of being 2020. This is probably my favorite record from him, start to finish. Especially just, I feel like some of the highlights from this really stand out. But he recently put out, this is an album that I kind of own 3 times, which is crazy now, a 10-year anniversary edition. I haven't even opened this, a Veteran. And again, just from that Desert Island, this is expanded. It comes with an extra disc of instrumentals, freestyles, and some other B-sides from the album that never made it. So this might be the pick just because of the extra content. Damn. Yeah, so that covers question 8. That's a pretty big question. Okay, 9 skip, 10 skip, 11. I almost skipped this one, but it's a pretty easy answer. Show a record that contains a track that always brings a tear to your eye. I mean, this whole record right here. Mount Eerie, A Crow Looked at Me. I've never made it through the entire album. It's crazy sad, really, really well made. I mean, just beautiful, beautiful stuff from Phil. And, but yeah, I mean, every single song is about his wife dying and how devastating that was for his family and young child at the time. And yeah, it's a insanely sad listen. So this is definitely the one I challenge anyone to listen to this. Oops. And not get a little choked up. Show 3 albums from artists you tried to love, but you don't. I mean, I haven't really collected albums from artists I don't like, so I don't really know how to answer that one. Show an album from an artist whose character disappoints you. I guess I just don't know enough about a lot of the people politically or whatever to do that. I'm sure if I looked really deeply, I could find someone in the collection who's been canceled, and I'm sure some of the old jazz guys have done bad stuff in their life, but yeah, I don't have a pick there. If you had to keep one record, no, skip. VC highlight of 2025. I guess my VC highlight of 2025, question 15, is just kind of getting more directly involved, first by starting to follow a couple channels, trying to leave some comments on videos, deciding to start my own little channel here and becoming more engaged. It was awesome casually meeting some folks at WFMU. So that would be my highlight. Question 16, name your favorite musical biopic if you have one. I haven't watched that many of them, but I think my favorite is Dig, which is the one about Brian Jonestown Massacre and Dandy Warhols. I think that's just that's a movie I watched because I was had kind of been a fan of the Dandies in college and hadn't kept up with them. And I was like, oh, it'd be cool to kind of see that. And I really wasn't aware of Brian Jonestown. And then that movie got me super interested in their music, much more. And yeah, I have a couple of those records on my want list still that I haven't found. Another interesting one that I always kind of revisit every 5, 6, 7 years now is Hated, the Gigi Allen story. Not really in particular a fan of his music, but I just think that movie is really interesting. And what a weird guy. I mean, deranged and not very good. If I had a record from him in my collection, that would be an easy answer for someone whose character disappoints you, but what a cool movie. But yeah, definitely a little not safe for work. So let's give it to Dig. Question 17, why does jazz matter? That's not for me to say. Question 18, no. 19, 20, that's it. That's all I'm going to do. I mean, everything else I just think is kind of saccharine, or I can't really answer it. So not answering those, but that's it. This is my attempt. I figure that if you're doing a little BC content, you got to do this vinyl tag thing. And all right, those are my picks. I hope you all enjoyed, and yeah, I'll link to what I showed below as always. And that's it. All right, see you all later.